Hello, everyone. On today's IRS tax refund update, we have the latest with those ongoing tax refund delays, including the newest update released by the IRS on the remaining backlog of unprocessed tax returns, with some positive news to report. So we'll take a look at that. We also have the latest update with amended returns, and we're beginning to see further movement. So we'll recap that. Then to an ongoing situation, which continues to be certain refunds being issued by the IRS, then being returned to them. So we'll take a look at that, and the most recent IRS letters being issued. Starting off with the latest update from the IRS on the remaining backlog of unprocessed tax returns, as we did get some good news this week, with the total amount of unprocessed now dropping to 2.4 million, which is a drop of 400,000 returns in just the past week. Significant movement on paper returns, which is now down to 820,000 remaining, and even a slight decrease on e-file returns and those requiring special processing to now 1.6 million. If the trend continues, we can see this number drop to below 2 million by the month's end. Finally, an overdue update for those waiting on amended returns. We saw a decrease of unprocessed amended returns by 60,000. Now, that was over a 2 week period. However, that maintains the current trend of them processing 30,000 a week, but still is good news as the number continues to drop rather than increase or even flatline. Again, these returns are processed at a much slower rate than regular individual tax returns, with processing time still averaging about 7 months. Now, staying on the topic of amended returns, several of our viewers who filed in early to mid March reported in the last week their amended returns were finally adjusted as seen here. Now, once the amended return is adjusted, expect the status to move over to completed, usually in about 3 weeks' time, with that refund being issued shortly thereafter. The viewer, by the time they received that refund, would probably have waited 5 months, which is slightly shorter than the average processing time of 7 months. Moving on to the continuing story of taxpayers who e-filed, had their refund issued by the IRS, only to have it returned by their bank or tax processor. Now, if you use some of the biggest tax preparing platforms like TurboTax, they use a company called TPG to process those refunds for them. However, in the last 2 weeks, we've heard numerous cases of TPG holding their refunds under review, as seen here to the left, then sending them back to the IRS to be issued out as a paper check. Now, we are seeing those with bank accounts with Chime receiving messages like this on the left that they will not accept the tax refund being issued by TPG into their bank account and that it is being returned to TPG. It is assumed that once TPG receives it back, in turn, they will send it back to the IRS to be issued as a paper check. Also, Chime is rejecting tax refunds where the receiver's name, which is the person listed on the tax return, does not match the name on the Chime account. The pattern we continue to see with these refunds being returned is they're generally refunds with higher dollar amounts and are being sent to accounts at financial institutions or non-traditional banks such as Chime, Netspend, and Green Dot, rather than traditional banks like Bank of America and Wells Fargo. Unfortunately, for many years, these non-traditional banks have been a place where those seeking improper tax refunds have gone due to the lack of verification. But I do want to be clear, a majority of those with those type of accounts are waiting on legitimate real tax refunds. Now, if you're impacted by this and have your refund sent back to the IRS by TPG, there's nothing you can do except wait. The IRS will send out to your address on file a paper check, usually within 4 to 6 weeks. However, we're seeing a lot of more measures being taken in place due to the higher amount of illegitimate tax returns being filed, especially those claiming the fuel tax credit. There's a lot of fraudulent activity going on with that credit this year, and it is causing a slowdown of processing and refunds being issued. Now, on to those IRS notices, as we're getting new reports of taxpayers receiving this notice, the 4464C letter, and it does not indicate an audit, but rather the IRS is still attempting to verify the wages and income tax withholdings they entered on their tax return. One reason could be the IRS is still processing the employer's wage information, or the employer did not file their taxes, which does happen. It could also be a data entry error causing a conflict. Typically, with math errors, the IRS can autocorrect the issue and avoid the need to file an amended return. For those who've still not had their tax returns processed, in particular paper return filers who attempted to access their tax transcripts, they may receive this verification of non filing of a tax return letter. Now, this letter is especially important for those on financial aid who need to provide proof of income, as this will provide that the latest tax return is not available to show income from the last tax year. Let us know in the comment section below about your ongoing tax refund issue, including when and how you filed your tax return. In the meantime, we'll keep monitoring the situation for further developments, so make sure to click on the thumbs up and subscribe button below for future updates on this channel, and thanks for watching.